And we're learning new details about the man suspected of trying to assassinate former President Trump as a judge is set to consider whether to grant bail. The 58-year-old suspect is charged with possession of a firearm as a convicted felon and possession of a firearm with an obliterated serial number. Trump was playing golf last week when investigators say the suspect pointed a rifle through a fence bordering the West Palm Beach Golf Club. Now prosecutors say the suspect had a list of places Trump could be and visited that golf club several times in the month before his arrest. Senior reporter Catherine Falders joins me now from West Palm Beach, Florida, for more. Catherine, this detention memo reveals that this suspect allegedly sent a letter to a witness saying this was an assassination attempt on former President Trump. How significant is that, and what more are you learning about him?
Yeah, and the timing of that letter in particular is a bit unclear because it says that this letter was sent several months leading up to his arrest, but prosecutors do reveal new details in this filing. They say that that letter that they put in the filing that he wrote, Ryan Routh, the suspect here wrote, "This was an assassination attempt on Donald Trump, but I failed you. I tried my best and gave it all the gumption I could muster." He then says that he's offering $150,000 to anybody who can finish the job that he failed. That's just one of the new details revealed in this filing. It's a bit unclear as to when exactly he wrote that letter, but of course prosecutors and investigators discovered it in the course of their investigation. Diane, as you mentioned, Routh did have a list of venues where Trump had been or planned to go between the months of August and October. We don't know exactly what venues those were that he had written down, but even more importantly here, they say that Ryan Routh traveled near the golf course and Trump's estate here in Mar-a-Lago multiple times in the months leading up to his arrest. Of course, there's been all sorts of questions we've been asked in press conferences and of investigators about the timeline here. Had he come down before? Was he familiar with any other venues other than that golf course? Had he been to Mar-a-Lago, for example? So we talked specifically about that 12 hours leading up to when he was seen on that fence line, and he had been around the course in the vicinity of that fence line, but we didn't know much more about where he was previously. So we do know now that he had been familiar with the golf club Mar-a-Lago, that he had traveled down to Florida before. So new details being revealed by prosecutors ahead of this hearing that is scheduled to get underway in a little over an hour.
So, Catherine, with this letter saying I failed you, are investigators now looking into the possibility that he wasn't acting alone here?
Now, it's interesting because they definitely are looking into that fact, but at least when investigators had a press conference last week and they were asked specifically about whether they had any evidence that Ryan Routh was acting with somebody else, they said that at least so far, now remember the investigation is preliminary, but so far they didn't have any evidence to suggest that he was acting with anybody else. But they did say that they were looking in to that fact to determine whether or not that's accurate or not. So I'm sure as this investigation continues, they're looking into all aspects of this, including whether he traveled outside of Florida to any other Trump properties, for example, of course, if he was acting alone, and other details that they're hoping to glean as well.
So, Catherine, what can we expect when he appears in court today?
Yeah, well, I think we can expect prosecutors to detail a lot of what we see in this detention memo here. We didn't know if they would submit a detention memo prior to this hearing. It is typical that they would. So we're learning more about the timeline. Now we just have to wait and see whether they reveal any additional details about the timeline. If they say what other venues, for example, he was traveling to. A question that I have is prosecutors say that he had a list of venues where he was expected to appear. Were those already publicly announced venues, or did he have some sort of knowledge of where he was expected to go? All of these things are details that maybe we will learn in court, but still questions for investigators as this moves forward.
All right, senior reporter Catherine Falders, thank you.